Hey there, everybody, it's me, your buddy Dave, the host here at the Dark Stuff channel on YouTube. And I've got a little bit of sad news to report if you hadn't already heard it. Legendary record producer and the frontman of bands like Big Black and Man of Shellac has died at age 61. It is simply impossible to overstate the impact that this man had on my musical taste and my upbringing musically. Starting in the late 80s and all throughout the 90s, and although he definitely kept working all throughout the 2000s up until probably just the day before he passed or whatever. So first off, 61 is an incredibly young age. I don't say that just because I'm 53. It's just like the guy wasn't known to do drugs. He didn't have any kind of vices like that. Maybe it was because he had kind of a sedentary lifestyle or something. He sits in the studio a lot. His other main hobby was poker. He became well known in the national poker scene or whatever. I don't know. All I know is heart attack at age 61. It's just incredibly sad. And I just thought I'm gonna get on and show you some of my Albini related stuff. Well, let's start off with Big Black, and we'll start off with this. This is the Rich Man's 8-track tape. This is Atomizer plus an EP, and Steve Albini really hated the CD and used it to mock. That's why the Rich Man's 8-track tape. And then he says here inside the album, it says, when in 5 years this remarkable achievement in the advancement of fidelity is obsolete and unplayable on any modern equipment, remember in 1971, the 8-track tape was state of the art. Songs about fucking. This is the Big Black record to end all Big Black records. It's got their version of the Model from Kraftwerk, but it's also got the Bad Penny, El Dopa, Precious Thing. I mean, every song on this is fucking good. It is dark. Just be prepared. I also have this. This is an interview. Big Black talk about fucking promotional item with interviews with the band discussing that album that I just showed you. After Big Black broke up in '87, he formed another band, and that is this band called Rape Man, Two Nuns and a Pack Mule. I used to have the cassette for Bud, and I couldn't find it. That was the EP that came with it. This is a great record, a one-off. The name, he did say he understands people's sensitivity to it. If it, triggers them in some way, but ultimately he said, I'm not apologizing for it. It's a Japanese cartoon character. I don't understand that. But anyways, great band, regardless of the name. Okay, then he ended up forming the band Shellac. Got a couple of 7 inches from Shellac. This is The Rude Gesture of Pictorial History. This is The Admiral. These were all on Touch and Go. And this is Uranus. These were all released in probably 92, 93 maybe, somewhere in that range. I know I bought those when I was living in Seattle. And then here is the debut Shellac album, At Action Park. A fantastic band with Albini and Bob Weston, formerly of the band Volcano Suns, and one other guy whose name I'm just blanking on. I apologize, other guy. Second Shellac album, Terraform, also incredible. The rest of the Shellac catalog I just have digitally. I don't have a physical form. And I do love that stuff. But really, the way Steve Albini impacted me, and probably you, if you're watching this video, is through some of the albums that he recorded. He doesn't like to use the word produce. He did work with this band, High on Fire, at one point. I ran through my records and tried to pull out as many as I could remember. I'm going to show you these kind of alphabetically here. Let's start off with the Amps Pacer. This is a one-off group from Kim Deal from the Pixies and the Breeders. Speaking of the Breeders, he did the Pod album. This is just, God, incredible. Okay, he worked really well with Kim Deal, and they had a really strong friendship, and the Breeders have already posted on their social media about it. He also did this Breeders album, Mountain Battles, and he even did a cut on their most recent album as well. Cheap Trick, Rockford. He also redid them doing the Cheap Trick in Color album, which is on YouTube, but it was never actually released, even though it is killer, and it's a great re-recording, but for whatever reason, they did it and then ultimately just kind of scrapped it. So Cheap Trick, Rockford, decent later period album, still had Bunny Carlos on it. This may be one of my most recent records from Albini. This is Cloud Nothings, Attack on Memory, great punk band. Guided by Voices, Under the Bushes, Under the Stars, which was originally supposed to be done by Kim Deal. Speaking of Kim Deal from the Breeders and the Amps, and they were recording it with Albini, and she was there and sort of. But anyways, long story. Anyways, this is maybe my favorite Guided by Voices album, if not favorite, second favorite. PJ Harvey, Rid of Me, amazing, kind of controversial. Some people just really hate the production on it. I've always said to people, like, you can dislike it all you want, but don't blame Steve Albini, because PJ Harvey knew exactly what she was doing. There was no ambiguity about what she was doing when she went in and recorded a raw, almost live album in the studio this way. And it turned out incredible. So, you know, Elvis Costello may hate it, but whatever. I don't. Now, he didn't produce this whole album, Helmet, meantime. He only did the first track in the meantime. Then we get to the Jesus Lizard. This is one of the bands that he worked with a lot over the years, starting off with Pure, and then I got Goat, I got Liar. He did the Down record after that from Jesus Lizard, and then he kind of stopped working with them. They had a bit of a falling out. Hopefully they mended fences before this. Okay, probably his most famous record that he's ever done, Nirvana, In Utero. Absolutely incredible. Recorded and mixed it. You know, he used to be very reluctant to talk about Nirvana, almost like he was embarrassed to have dealt with it. But now that we've celebrated the 30th anniversary of this record, he was much more open to it. He just did a series of interviews just a few months ago with Chris Novoselic and Dave Grohl, like reminiscing times about making the album. It's just, of course, the Pixies. This is a gigantic 12-inch from Surfer Rosa. This is the one that he did. This is the one that kind of put him on the map as a producer, and everybody loved the drums and the big room sound, and that became Steve Albini, the drums. You want that Albini drum sound, and this is the origin of it, I think. Great indie rock band, Skrull. There's Velvet Hammer on the Simple Machines label. He produced that one. He did a number of Silkworm albums, and I love these guys. I only have 2 of them on CD. Here's In the West and Libertine. But he did like 4 or 5 other albums from them after that. But Silkworm, great band. Not a good record here, but he did work with the Stooges on The Weirdness. This is their reunion with the old lineup. And although it is a pretty bad record, if I were given the opportunity to work with my all-time like favorite band, who I think made the greatest record of all time, and Albini has said that he thinks Funhouse is the best record ever made, I would take that opportunity too. I mean, I don't blame the guy, although this record is a piece of shit. My favorite Superchunk record, No Pocky for Kitty. It's a spoiler alert. This is my number 1 on my catalog ranking. This is incredible. They cut the whole thing in 3 days. Unbelievable. And Mac from Superchunk did an Instagram post and talked about how much they learned in that short period of time with Albini making this incredible record. Tad. Okay, this one is Salt Lick. Urge Overkill, Supersonic Storybook. Another band he kind of had a falling out with, but whatever. Great stuff on this one. The Volcano Suns, who I mentioned earlier, Bob Weston, is in his band Shellac. This was his old band before, with also Peter Prescott from Mission of Burma. Great band, by the way. And he did this album, Year in Rock, from Volcano Suns. And last, I'm going to show you The Wedding Present, Sea Monsters. Another incredible, incredible album that people seem to have perhaps forgotten, but it is great. It got every song on this. It's just incredible. So, anyways, you know, Albini was known for the drum sound. He was known for that big room sound. He was known for not being about the money and the credit and the glory. He didn't even like to be labeled as producer. He just wanted to be recorded by, if you even put his name on there. There are stories of other projects where he told people you'd probably be better off not putting my name on it. Like you'll do better from that. You know. He also worked with plenty of other groups. I think I said maybe Baruch Assault and Failure and Bush and all sorts of stuff. I mean, it just ran the gamut. This is a huge, huge loss for music. Man, put on some of those records, I find. I mean, just celebrate the guy. Rest in peace.
So, you have a MySpace page or something?